Hi, my name is Elle Stokes. I'm a social media ambassador for NYT, and this is.
Amelia Shipton. I am an actor and mental health researcher.
So, Amelia is a founder and director of the Tiny Company, which is a theatre and production company. And she's also, I want to say founder and director as well. Is that right? Of
Yeah, I
the
guess so.
Talk More
Yeah, why not?
Together. Talk More Together company, which provides accessible wellbeing services and training. And she's also a finalist for the She Inspires Award in the category Agent of Change, which I think is the most cool thing I've ever heard.
It is quite cool. And when I saw that come through, I was like, that's cool. I'm going to put that on my LinkedIn. That.
Yeah, actor, mental health researcher, and agent of change.
Yeah, love it. Under my email signature.
So, like, can you talk me through what's going on at the moment? Because I feel like you do have so many hats on, and I see you online doing so much different work. I mean, like, as part of NYT, you're also an NYT youth trustee.
Yeah.
You're a part of so many different sort of linked with so many different like mental health services. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Like, what's your
Yeah.
day to day like?
I think day to day can be so different. As I said, I wear so many different hats, and I think, being an NYT member and an actor, I think that kind of gives you so many different kind of transferable skills that I've been able to kind of explore. And yeah, really enjoy that kind of journey. But at the moment, things are quite busy. We Talk More Together, my company, where we do deliver training for different companies, corporates, education, universities, and digital resources. Today I've been kind of making some resources that I'm going to send out to a theatre company, but another day I might send out to a corporate insurance company I worked with a couple of weeks ago. And then with my company, the Tiny Company, we create accessible training from the comfort of your own home. So we deliver lots of different workshops through Instagram Live. We go into schools and do talks for inspiring actors and creatives and that kind of thing. But I'm also on some advisory boards for mental health charities. So yeah, every day is different, and it's really exciting, and it's just been really great to kind of, as I said, be able to use those kind of transferable skills as an actor from NYT into lots of different creative things too.
How did you sort of initially get into this kind of work?
I guess I've always been like really curious. I'm such a curious person that I like to kind of know everything. Yeah, just learn lots of different things. So I guess for mental health work, I began my work doing delivering kind of workshops for children with long-term health conditions, which is something that I kind of grew up with. And I could see there was kind of like a gap around mental well-being for young people in that kind of category. So that kind of developed, and then I kind of went into mental health research and focused on undergraduate university support for students. Talk More Together kind of grew, and I went to do my master's of research in mental health support, and that kind of organically grew. And then the Tiny Company. I've always just wanted to kind of have my own theatre company, and I set that up in lockdown actually. And one day I was in my bedroom, and I was like, right, I want to do something, and I'm kind of sick of seeing the entertainment industry suffer so much. What can I do with my time? And I was shielding at the time as well, so I was kind of very isolated. And I thought there's nothing really at the time much online, and obviously now things have kind of progressed online, but at the time there wasn't much. So yeah, the Tiny Company was kind of birthed, and we started delivering workshops via Instagram Live. That's literally how it started. Like got loads of people on Instagram Live. I reached out to so many different people. We had casting directors, agents, writers, actors, holistic vocal coaches, all sorts to kind of just get everyone online and get those kind of skills out there, but also for people to have a space and a community to kind of grow together in those difficult times. And again, it kind of organically grew, and we're still kind of delivering those workshops today. And as I said, going into schools and that kind of thing. So I was very lucky. I guess I worked really hard in terms of just going out there, not being too scared of getting things wrong and just learning through it, I guess. And I think NYT kind of really helped because, you know, everyone kind of knows everyone with NYT. Like it's such like a big kind of family, I guess, like this hub of people. And they all kind of support and help um whatever means it is, whether it is with the Tiny Company or Talk More Together, like people love to get involved. So yeah, just gaining those contacts through NYT and through networking and just kind of putting yourself out there, which I think what training as an actor kind of really helps you, I guess, because you are kind of learned to kind of just go for it and be playful within the process. So I think that's kind of how I've developed it all, and it's still growing and still learning, and yeah.
So I know as a NYT youth trustee, you did an Instagram live quite recently about the importance of mental health support for actors and creatives, and obviously that is the kind of audience of this video. And
Yeah.
I think that's so interesting as from your place of someone that is, director of a theatre company, but also these training and mental health support. As someone who's kind of like in the Venn diagram of both those circles, you've got the like you've worked as stage crew. You've, if anyone doesn't know, we went to university together, so I
Yeah.
know some secret things about Amelia. You've had experience as an actress, as stage support crew, as someone who's done this research in an academic sense, and someone who is also sort of like as the founder and director, the authority sort of making these things. So it's like almost you've had experience at all these different levels.
Different
What sort of
levels, yeah.
insights have you found about the mental health support needed for actors and creatives?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, we did the Instagram live a couple of weeks ago for Mental Health Awareness Week. Um and I guess, being in a creative industry, it is really, really tricky. There are so many different um setbacks and all sorts. So I think for me, I wanted to kind of capture that support because it is limited, and I think we are kind of expected to kind of just get on with it, and you do get on with it in this creative industry. And I think sometimes it's unspoken about in terms of the unpredictability of this career. And for me, it's about bringing that conversation to life, and acknowledging the fact that yes, we might have, different kind of things going on as an actor, and we are faced with lots of rejection, lots of setbacks, lots of kind of comparison too, I think, especially whilst you're training and you're in those early years of your career, you're kind of in that kind of bracket where it can feel quite vulnerable. And for me, I really wanted to kind of be that support and bring that conversation to life and action those changes. And I think as an industry, we've come a really long way, but there are still some movements that need to happen. So I think, going on that Instagram live with NYT and starting that conversation, it was so beautiful to see so many members kind of coming up and actually, being part of that conversation and sharing their thoughts. So I think ultimately it's about bringing that conversation together and actioning those thoughts. And I think being an actor and a creative and a mental health researcher, I think people often see, oh my gosh, there's so two different things, but I think they overlap so beautifully for me anyway. I can see the value in both. And even being an actor is there's so much psychology in it. There's so much understanding, being aware of your circumstances, being aware of what goes on around you, but also what's it like for the other actor, you and your well-being as an actor, and being curious. I always keep coming back to being curious. I think as an actor, it's so important to be curious, but also with mental health, it's about being curious to our surroundings, to who we're with, how can we create like an empathetic, compassionate space, because that also makes you a better actor too. I believe anyway.
Do you have like sort of any advice? I know this can be like quite a hard question because it's vague, but for anyone who's watching this who's an actor or creative that is maybe struggling with their mental health, do you have
Yeah.
any sort of advice, or is there anywhere you can signpost?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, first of all, it's understandable. It's acknowledging that actually it's understandable to be struggling with your mental health as an actor. As I said, it's a really unpredictable career path. And I think it's about recognizing actually, yes, I am struggling right now. This is difficult, that's difficult, and actually being kind to yourself and being like, things are tricky. And I think that takes a lot of strength too. So I think actually the fact that you're recognizing that you're struggling right now is such a great first step, and you can be proud of that kind of step that you've taken, and then not being afraid to reach out for help. I know that it can be tricky, but actually there are thousands of actors and creatives that are struggling, and it's not just you. So yeah, recognize the fact that you're struggling and that's okay. And then taking those steps into what can I do to kind of support myself through this creative journey and this challenge. Whether that is going to your GP, whether that is reaching out to your agent and saying, hey, I just need a few months off, or I just need to vent how I'm feeling. That audition was really tricky, or that job was really hard, and this is why. Having that open space. And I think also, agents being open to that too. And I think there are so many wonderful agents out there now that are so supportive. So not being afraid to have that conversation, but also, there are lots of crisis lines that are available. And actually, I volunteer for Shout, which is UK, the only UK 24/7 crisis text line service. And actually, we have lots of creators reach out. I was quite surprised when I first started volunteering for them. We do have lots of creatives out there, and there are people out there that want to support you. So don't be afraid to reach out for help and look at those charities. Reaching out to Spotlight, there are some other mental health charities that I'll get Elle to pop up here somewhere. You can reach out to, but also look at Talk More Together, my company. We originally started as a creative wellbeing service, but actually we kind of advanced into research and training as well. So don't be afraid to reach out and look out for those resources. But I'll get Elle to pop them up all around here now. But yeah, I think acknowledging it. Yeah.
What what is your master's? Because I knew you were doing a master's after university, but I didn't know sort of specifically what you were doing it in.
Yeah, so it was a Master's of Research, and I focused on mental health support, specifically looking at undergraduate university students, and what support is available, what are the challenges that individuals have when contacting support, what can be done to better support their journey through accessing support, and also looking at prevention and intervention. So, what can we do to stop universities necessarily reacting or being reactive, but actually being proactive? So rather than waiting for a crisis to happen, we respond in a way that we stop that crisis from happening. So preventative intervention and holistic viewpoints to better support for undergraduate students in the UK.
That's so interesting because I think obviously like we probably had our own mental health struggles or were aware of people that had mental health struggles in university. And there's been so many things coming out about drama schools. And I
Yeah.
think there's sort of two sides of it, which is that on one hand, the drama school university can be handling it badly. And on the other hand, I think as an actor, the material you're working on is deeply personal and it can feel impossible not to feel criticized or have your own personal self-worth or value, depending on your grade or the chances of success or how your talent is linked. And it's like one of those acting is one of those talents that it feels very like, oh, maybe I'm only good if I get cast as a lead role,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
I've got signed, or if I had these chances at paid work. Whereas you see these people that become amazing actors or very famous actors later on, and people going, "Oh yeah, I knew they were great the whole time," but nobody's saying they're great when they're playing the tree in the back. Like
Yeah.
it's so personal, and I think that's why it's such a complicated thing because of the mix. Obviously, I think you know a bit more than me though.
No,
But
no, you're 100% exactly like, bang on there. You're right. Like, drama school and training, it can be really, really tricky. And as you say, that kind of self-worth can often be placed on specific signing, role, grade, um, contract, and I think actually it's about recognizing that we're talented and we are worthy enough without those things. And I think that's like one of the biggest things I've also learned, stepping kind of outside, for me, and you'll know this, Elle, like, for me, I was like acting, 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 I'm gonna be a superstar, like, and I was so focused. And for me to be able to step out that space whilst I'm still active as an actor, being able to see both sides of it, it's been so refreshing. I think that's why I kind of wanted to come back into education and go down that route because it's so difficult and it's not spoken about enough. It can be so emotionally draining and it can really affect individuals' mental health, understandably, but as all the reasons that you just said. And I think it's really about making that support far better for actors in training, but also not just in training, into the workplace and how we really support those upcoming creatives through that journey because life is even more tricky now with social media being in the media, in the press, and that comparison again, keep coming back to comparison. Even now, like I was on TikTok the other day scrolling through and looking at different people on Broadway, and like where they post those videos where one singer and then the other singer, and then they like
yeah,
compare like, whose voices sound better or whose stage presence is better. And I think it's so hard for actors if that was their first contract, but let alone, but if that was their first contract and they're being compared, I think we should all just embrace each other's talent. And it's easy for me to sit here and be like, let's just embrace each other. But it really is about recognizing how can we better support those actors, and build up that resilience and that support now at the foundations at NYT. You've joined NYT, you're upcoming in your career. Really look at how we can support your mental health and your resilience, as you kind of go through that journey. And even just listening to this today is a great first step. So I think it's about just, I said, recognize and keep validating yourself, and giving yourself that compassion that you deserve, because it can be tricky. But also there are some great elements of it too, and I think that's important to recognize as well.
I think some people almost try and make it a kind of shallow issue of mental health because they're sort of scared to talk about it. And I think there's so many different strands to it and different perspectives. But as you know, if you're an actor in a very competitive industry, it can feel like to speak about your mental health, you're maybe going to lose your place, or if you take time out, you're going to miss your big break. And when something is so competitive, there can almost feel like this kind of undercurrent of like, oh well, if you can't handle it, maybe you've not been trained enough, or like
Yeah,
maybe I can handle it. So, and it just feels like it can be something that breeds such a competitiveness instead of a real compassion. And I think
yeah,
it's the work you're
100%.
doing is so amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think it is so important. And as you say, that comparison, that competitiveness, and we are breeding, or we were breeding perhaps this kind of like, when I was applying to drama school, I don't know if I can say this, but I always kind of used to think that you're kind of training these robots. And actually I think there's so much value in authenticity, and bringing your authentic self is so vital, and especially when we're looking after our mental health. It's about, as I said, being who you are, showing up who you are, and appreciating other people for who they are, and not what talent they could bring, what part they might have, what contract they might get.
Amelia, how did you find out about MIT?
I found about NYT so I first heard about the National Youth of Musical Theatre. So I first trained as a singer in musical theatre. That's like my first love. And then I found out about MIT, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I decided that I kind of wanted to go more down the actor route, so I decided to audition. And actually, funny story. So I did my MIT audition, and well, I signed up to the audition, and it got cancelled because it snowed. So so I went to Guildford instead, because I lived down in Bournemouth, and I thought, oh, I'll just go to the Guildford one because that was the next one they could offer me because it was cancelled. And I wasn't sure if I was going to go. I was like, oh, it's cancelled. I'm not sure. And I was like, you know what, I'll go. And then I got in. And I remember it was such a lovely audition, and it was just such a fun environment and such a safe environment. And I'd done like a few auditions when I was a child, as a child actor. And so I was kind of like used to being in that environment, but I used to get so nervous. I used to be so shy, really shy child, to the point that I used to like hold hands with anyone in the play park because I was like scared I was going to fall over. So it's for me, I was like, so then it was like a really busy audition in NYC, and I was like, I'm scared. But actually, it was so lovely, and just a really fun environment, and everyone was just so friendly, and it was just like, still to this day, it was like my favorite audition I've ever done. It's always just such a safe space, and everyone just kind of embraces you for who you are, whatever you are in that moment, however you show up, you're just like zoned in and having fun. We did lots of kind of fun games, and I remember we did like those freeze frames. I remember that. Um, and then I did for my audition, I did Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 3, Scene 4. And I just started with Lo. She is one of this Confederacy, Helena. And yeah, it was just a really great experience, and I really loved it. And I actually remember the lady that did my audition, she had big like orange trousers on and like a short bob, and I was like, she is so cool. I want to be her. And yeah, then I got in and I had the best time. It was in 2018. I was on the senior intake course. I was one of the youngest. I think I was the youngest maybe on the senior intake course, and it was just again like the best 3 weeks I ever had. It was at Goldsmiths in London, and I just had the best time. I'm still friends with some of the people on my course, and they show up on my Instagram lives and hey girl. And it's always so lovely, and everyone's all, as I said earlier, like NYT is such a lovely family and hub community of people that are ready to kind of embrace your creativity. And I urge everyone to audition because it's just such a lovely experience. And I wish I could do NYC for the first time again. I was so young then, and I'm 25 now. Makes me feel so um
What?
um I know. Honestly, I was like, do I even mention my age? Because it's so upsetting. Um
Not upsetting, no.
I'm still, yeah, still young, still a baby. I look young, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I wish I could experience it for the first time because it's so lovely. So yeah, everyone audition, even if you're not sure, even if you're really shy like I was, you'll be fine. And now I'm like so confident. Now I like go and public speak for everyone, do loads of public speaking, go to loads of events and conferences. And I think, that foundation training, like always talk about being an actor, like it's so transferable. Even if you don't want to be an actor, I think it's still so great. But I guarantee that you'll come out of NYT and be like, yes, I want to be an actor, and you will go on to do lots of cool stuff, I'm sure.
I think something I love about MIT so much as well is how they are constantly doing work to be more accessible.
Yeah.
Like they're putting work in to sort of have like split off spaces if you need to like chill out and they're still sort of, like balancing it with the safeguarding aspect. They really care about developing as a company. And I think like a lot of companies will say like these are our values, but it is so lovely to be in a space where you can really feel
They're
that
genuine,
they
like,
genuinely
yeah.
care about these values.
Yeah, 100%. I also think NYT is so good at nurturing you. Like, I feel like they really look after you in terms of who you are and what you want to do. And, I email and I'm heard in terms of like my ideas and things. So I think yeah, it's just a really lovely space.
You are now an MIT Youth Trustee. Tell me,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
So it's a really fun position. We kind of get to be part of that kind of at governance level of the charity. So really understand kind of what goes on behind the scenes and be part of that kind of decision making and bringing ideas and yeah, really kind of getting to know like the depth of the charity itself, the leadership team, and yeah, I just love being in that space and being part of those meetings. And as I said, everyone is always so lovely and friendly at MIT, but being in those meetings and understanding the charity at governance level and learning from the leaders is really great. And a really kind of great kind of progression as well, I think. For me, being part of lots of different charities, mental health work, but I'm always going to love my acting creative side. So to be able to be in that space, now that's my first love, and that's what I always do. So to be in that space is been really great. And we've got some really exciting things working on behind the scenes. So stay tuned, guys.
I think it seems like you've had so many amazing accomplishments and all these nominations and awards. Is there something or, a top few things that you see like really as your kind of biggest accomplishment? Like, what are the things that you're most proud of in your work?
Oh, good question. I suppose like as a whole, like including the acting, like the mental health research, the advocacy, all that kind of thing, I would say, I think it was very cool. I got to meet Prince William at the beginning of the
Oh,
yeah, and that was
that's
very fun.
crazy.
Yeah, it was such an like surreal experience and just being in that space and talking about mental health and yeah, that was like a big like bucket list tick for me. I'd always wanted to do that and it was such a special day. And like I think again, like I going in there, they had like briefs of us of who we were going in. They were like, "Who's the actor?" And I was like, "Me." Um, I think like me, put me in front of the camera, please. And I think like it was such a great experience, but also, there was lots of press there, and I think I don't know whether they asked that just to be friendly or whether they were asking it to who was going to be comfortable in front of the camera. But I got good position in front of the camera.
Right.
And I feel like, coming from an actor's background, as I keep saying, those transferable skills, that was like a big like, moment. And I, worked really hard for a very long time volunteering with on a crisis line. as part of that charity. And it was, such a lovely moment to be kind of given something back and to have that space to share all our hard work was really, really wonderful. And I'm very grateful. And I look back at the photos and I'm like, how did that even happen? And like my grandma was so excited that I got to meet the future king as well. Like it was such a lovely moment for the whole family. So yeah, that was very fun. But recently I also got to go to the House of Lords and that was also very fun too. So um yeah, I feel very, very lucky that this 2025 has been quite a good year so far, I guess. And yeah, just keep, I say to everyone, just keep being curious and keep putting yourself in those spaces because it does happen if you keep putting yourself out there. Keep working hard, even on the days where it feels really tough.
And going back to your first love in with acting and musical theatre, if you could play any musical theatre
Oh,
character, who would you play?
that's such a good question. Um, I would love to be in Lemons. I feel like if I could play Cosette in Lemons in the West End, my life would be complete. Like it's done. Like, my life is done. I would love, 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 love to be Cosette in Lemons.
We'll get it done.
I hope so.
We'll
What
make it
MIT,
happen.
make it happen. Get me in the room, MIT.
Is there anything you would like to say to our lovely audience? Well, we got them.
I would love to say, keep being curious, keep being open, be kind to yourself. This journey can be bumpy, but also really wonderful. And the fact that you're here listening today is enough. And I think that you just gotta keep pushing through. And also, what I always say, and Elle will roll her eyes because I'm always posting about it on my Instagram, but put your horse blinkers on. And this is gonna be so random. I'm just gonna be like, what's she talking about? But it's like my analogy for actors and anyone really. But in this world and in this kind of industry, there's a lot of comparison and there can be a lot of setback. So put your horse blinkers on like a horse would do. And horses had them on so they can't see and they can't get distracted. You got to do the same. Put your horse blinkers on, stay in your lane, stay focused. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing or what anyone else is saying or what their journey looks like. Your journey is unique. So be kind to yourself, put your horse blinkers on, and it will absolutely happen when it's meant to.
Okay. Thank you so much for letting me interview
Thank you so much for having me, inviting me. It's so fun to chat with you.
you. I'm going to put some of Amelia's socials and stuff on the screen,
Follow me on
and
Instagram, please.
we'll put them in the bio as well. So,
Amazing.
thank you everybody for watching.
Thanks so much, everyone, and Elle for being such an amazing interviewer.